Throughout its history, in peacetime and in war, the USO has embodied hope and encouragement for American service members.
You can't adequately describe how much it means to the people who are serving the country.
I've always had good feelings about the USO, and I'll always be grateful for them, for the people that volunteer and do all their work.
Whether a much-needed boost in morale,
just a comforting feeling to know that somebody was there specifically for guys in uniform.
a familiar face in hard times,
It's great to have a friend when you need one.
or a home away from home.
Wherever you have troops, you're going to need the USO.
Then, as now, the USO is here to serve. Every time our servicemen and women are called to duty, they travel to a place that's foreign, unfamiliar, and often hostile. In this lonely, uncertain climate, our troops depend on reminders of home to help them through their mission. The USO has always been there to meet those needs.
I would call it a safe harbor for military personnel up to the present time.
Since its founding in 1941, the USO has risen to meet the challenges faced by our armed forces. World War II prompted the largest troop increase in American history. A young USO responded, establishing more than 3,000 centers worldwide to back the war effort. In its first 3 years, the USO provided support to millions of young service members.
You've got to have a place like home that you can go to. The USO just did, I think, a magnificent job in the Second World War.
In the Korean War, American service members again found themselves far from home in an overseas conflict. Even in the harshest conditions, the USO stood proudly at their side, with more than 100,000 volunteers bringing relief and supplies to wounded and battle-weary troops.
They provided us with some of the basic necessities we needed. They were always there for the serviceman, in peacetime or in war. It didn't matter. They were always there. And we knew that, and that's a good feeling.
A decade later, the Vietnam War sent thousands of young service members back into combat. Despite the incredible dangers of this guerrilla conflict, the USO opened several centers in combat zones, serving more than 1 million soldiers each month. Through the toughest times of the war, the USO stood by the troops.
It would rejuvenate you and make you start thinking about what you were trained to do and why, and what that red, white, and blue meant.
After Vietnam, a government report concluded if there were no USO, another organization would have to be created. Isolation of the military from civilian influences is not in the interest of this nation. Among the most notable civilian influences through the years have been the thousands of USO entertainers. Since its creation, the USO has put on more than 500,000 shows. Comedians, movie stars, musicians, and models have graced the stage for American troops all around the world. USO shows have always been the organization's most visible contribution. But nothing can replace the personal commitment to individual service members.
I think that they play such a big part in helping the American fighting men and women cope. There was a lot of dedicated people that were trying to help the troops, and I appreciated that, and to this day I appreciate it because it meant a lot.
The USO's dedication would come through again in the Persian Gulf War. In the challenging desert environment, the USO brought the latest technology directly to the troops.
We were the first to test out the computers on emailing home and using satellites, and it opened up a whole new world where it was easier for family members to talk to each other, to chat. That's why the USO is so special to me.
Today's service members face an array of new challenges. Unprecedented events have tested the resolve of all Americans and increased the demands on service members as well as the USO. In Southwest Asia, the Pacific, Europe, and here in the United States, from the front lines to the home front, and from the camaraderie of thousands to the warmth of an individual smile. Through 65 years of compassion and commitment, the USO has been there to serve our troops, no matter the obstacles.
Keeping the faith with soldiers is paramount. The fact is that we have boots on the ground, men and women that are over there with great commitment, executing a very difficult mission, and they need our support.
And we'll continue to be there until everyone comes home. The United Service Organizations. 65 years of service, 1 million acts of kindness.